Uhler and Moats are on the air. This is the Steelers Blitz on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. SNR, Steelers Nation Radio.
What's going on, Steelers Nation Radio? It is high noon on a Thursday afternoon. That can only mean one thing. Time to go inside the Electric Factory here on your 24/7 home of the black and the gold. It is the Steelers Blitz on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler, Arthur Moats, decade of NFL experience, really good head of hair, and as always, one way for you to get involved. You've got questions, you've got comments, concerns, criticisms, maybe even all your reactions. You can always get at us on Twitter, on X, at Wesley Uhler, at TheBody52.
The Body.
Arthur Moats, plenty of moving and shaking that we got to get to here as we get towards the end of another week, as we get closer to the NFL draft. About, a little over exactly 2 weeks from this moment. Teams will be standing at the podium, making their first round selections in the 2025 NFL draft. So more to get to in that regard. Some moving, some shaking, some notable things happening around TJ Watt and a potential contract extension there. We've got social media activity that we have to discuss. So plenty to get to today, Arthur Moats. I hope you are well. And certainly, I think we have to start with a evening that we had circled on the calendar, something that we had been keeping an eye on here for the last few weeks, or just at least mentioned and anticipated, and how it could affect the Steelers. And of course, I am referencing Pat McAfee's live show, The Big Night Act, that took place.
We didn't get it. Rodgers ain't signed. What happened?
That took place at PPG Paints Arena Wednesday, April 9th in Pittsburgh. Pat McAfee doing a different edition of his show. It wasn't really the sports talk show format. It was more of kind of a night out. There was sports, there was comedy, there was music. There were a lot of celebrity appearances from people like Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa. There were There were a lot of Yins appearances, like from the legend Ben Roethlisberger. From
Seven, baby.
From the GOAT, Sidney Patrick Crosby.
Sid the Kid, baby.
And, of course, Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang as well, too.
Come on, man.
Couple three-time Stanley Cup champions.
Man, you're going to leave out the most important duo? Come on, man. Don't do that.
And, of course, it wouldn't be complete without the next one, we all hope. The next Pittsburgh great, Paul Skeens, was there as well.
Oh, my, you still doing this? Don't you do that now. You're going to name all these important people and not name the two most important people that made an appearance last night. Don't do that. Don't do that, bro.
Well, I did fall asleep for some of it, so.
Oh my God. So so I'll paint the picture. When we're in studio, it happens to be a studio like right next to our studio.
Mikey and Big Bob. Yes, of course. Speaking of a couple legends. Thank you. Yes. Shout out Mikey and Big
Come
Bob.
on, man. They are definitely big dog. Doing it for a while, right, man. So heck yeah, we gotta shout them out.
No doubt. You're right. They're doing their show usually right across the hallway from us. I think important for Pat McAfee when he was kind of getting into that business and some mentorship stuff as well too. So yeah, big shout out to those guys. I mean, the popular comedian Shane Gillis was there. Jelly Roll, another musical artist, kind of opened the thing by playing a Renegade, which was, of course, pretty cool. So it was a fun Yinzer night out with a lot of different notable musicians and sports people and entertainers and everything in between. But one guy who was not there was Aaron Rodgers, of course. And again, if you missed all of this buildup, there was a lot of anticipation or just hopeful thought that could this be where we get some news, the final Aaron Rodgers will be a Pittsburgh Steeler because he's friends with Pat McAfee, because this event is in Pittsburgh. Because
Why
we all
not?
know Aaron Rodgers has a little bit of a flair for the dramatic and likes to do things his
Duh.
way and doesn't like the traditional media route in this regard a lot of times. Arthur Moats, that did not happen last night. Long show, like a 3.5 hour show by Pat McAfee, but no Aaron Rodgers.
Well, we said it was I looked at it as 50-50, just because of everything we talked about with, Rodgers and all the build up and theatrics and the relationship with McAfee. But there was a reality where this was going to be the case. We weren't going to get any information, and then we started saying, all right, now we started looking to, you got 2 weeks prior to the draft. We need to know something. We need to know something. We need to know something. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. But at the same time, I mean, I like how the Steelers are moving. You know what today is. You know who is coming in town. There's no speculation about that. There is no, I wonder if, when, or how he feels. We basically have put that out there and, hey, let it get funny at the beginning of this draft like it very well could be. It won't get funnier past 21. And I think that that's something that Mr. Rodgers is hopefully going to understand. And, we'll get some more haste with his decision making process, but we don't want to rush him. We hate to rush. Hate to do that. Who can't rush him? You know that.
Yeah, I listen, by the time we got to the show Wednesday night, it did feel like maybe any of the enthusiasm and the energy around Aaron
Yep.
Rodgers, because a lot of people were dumping cold water on it, right?
Oh yeah, some people love to do that.
To be
Oh,
fair to
what's out
him,
there? What
to be fair to McAfee too, he went on Ben Roethlisberger's podcast like a day prior, and he said
Mhm.
Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there.
Yeah,
Mark Cabali said this a couple times leading up to it as well
yeah.
too, who we all know works for the McAfee show. So to be fair, they weren't front and center. Hey, no chance it's going to happen.
Mhm.
There was maybe some WWE, a little bit of suspense element there, certainly. But McAfee at least seemed pretty legit when he went on Roethlisberger's podcast and said that Aaron Rodgers will not be there the day before. But now we're here. um,
Mhm.
now I don't like what is, and I know this is a very 30,000 foot
Yeah.
wide view perspective, but like what is next now? Do we think
Next for who? Next for who?
for as it relates to Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers?
No, so I'm saying of which person, which perspective are we talking? Because if you're talking from Rogers' perspective, I think that is very different than the Steelers' perspective.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So if I'm like speaking from Rogers' perspective, what's next? Man, I'm on my timeline. My timeline has not changed. Whatever I set my timeline to be, I don't have to change that. I don't have to move. You have to react to me because if you don't like my pace, cool, go find somebody else that can do what Aaron Rodgers does in 2025. But if you can't and you want what I bring in 2025, shut up, smile, and don't piss me off while I wait. Like, it's that simple, right? And we've
Yep.
kind of seen how us as an organization has reacted and complied with that as well. So I think from Rogers' perspective, nothing changes. In fact, you look at it and you say, y'all are acting the way that I want you to act until we know what is happening today. And that changes me to the Steelers' perspective, which is, man, we've given you a ton of grace. We've given you a ton of time. We've let you be the driver's seat or be in the driver's seat this whole process. And we're not changing that, but we are about to prepare ourselves. And if this draft plays out like it potentially could, when you look at Vegas, you look at the Giants, you look at the Browns, and you look at the Saints, there are very legitimate chances that Shador could slip past all of them. And now 21 becomes very available.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably, or not even arguably, he's viewed as the second best prospect in this class. Some people would debate him as the first best, depending on what you're looking for specifically. But the fact that that is a guy that could fall to us, I love the fact that we are hosting him for a visit. We are getting that hands-on, intimate understanding, those conversations, those let me hear how you are in the building with my guys, how our personalities mesh. That's the warning shot. That's the hey Rodgers, we're still waiting on you, and you're still priority number one. But don't think for a second if this kid is available at 21, we're not going to take him. And I think that that's what that signals. Now, there is no guarantee that he's going to be there for Rodgers. Now you're starting to play the chicken game, or if we kept it, from a current standpoint, you're playing the stock market game, right? Is it a good day to get in, or should I not get in? Should I sell or should I hold? So if you're Rodgers right now, you're looking and you're like, all right, now draft coming up. My stock's still real, real hot right now. I'm hot. But they bringing in somebody new. Okay, this could get a little weird. I don't lose value until it officially happens, though.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Once draft hits and they take Shador, my leverage instantly goes out the window, and they're viewing me very differently now.
Mm-hmm.
But up until that point, I feel great. And right now, I think that the Steelers, they're kind of preparing themselves for what could be doomsday if Rodgers decides to walk away. But at the same time, I think that they're being respectful about it as well. They're not being heavy-handed, but I think that this currently is something that, from my eyes, needed to be done so that way you can get at least some of your leverage back. Because up until this point, especially once Russell Wilson signed, man, you're not going to sell me when you want to win a championship in 2025, and you're not signing Aaron Rodgers or the equivalent. You could speculate all we wanted about Fields and his development, but I could do the same thing about Mason Rudolph. I could do the same thing about Jalen Milroe. I could do the same thing about Tyler Shuck. We can do all hey, this will be the year. Why? But on top of that, I could do it even more so when you point directly to why people felt confident in Fields. It was because of Arthur Smith and Coach Tomlin and what they did in the 6-game sample size where you saw him not have turnovers, him lead this team, and us win games. Something that he had not done consistently in Chicago. I know we're not supposed to praise our coaches because we got the worst coaches ever and they never develop anything and they can never do good. But it's just weird that, hey, 6 games after that, he goes and gets 2 years, $40 million with 20 guaranteed. Make it make sense. Huh. So if he could do it, if the Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin combination could work with Justin Fields, man, why can't it work with a Jalen Milroe then? Why can't it work with the next man, right? So to me, I'm already kind of transitioning into that if I'm the Steelers. Shador is a great option one, but if not, then man, what was my second best option? Man, I wanted Justin Fields. That was the priority. Him and Russ, man, I can get that or a version of that with Jalen Milroe, obviously super cheap. And from there, that same coaching staff that developed Justin Fields to stop turning the football over, to actually start learning how to win games and look all good to the point that people were like, hey, man, we need him. Why do we even want to see Russell Wilson, right? So if they can do that, I mean, why? It only works with them. It only works with Justin Fields. Like, who made that rule up? Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Fields had multiple coaches prior to us, so it couldn't just be he works with anybody. So it might indicate that the coaching actually worked a little bit. Whoa, God forbid. God forbid. I went on a little tangent right there. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay. Listen, that's what this time of year is all about. We got nothing but time to fill, baby. So in fact, thank you. I appreciate that. That's why I don't know where to go here because there's a lot to unpack there. I mean,
listen, man, it's layers to this Rodgers thing. It's layers to this McAfee thing. It's layers to these. Who has leverage? How do we win this battle? Okay. We're negotiating.
You know what? You're absolutely right, and I'm glad you said that because we do need to go to break in like the next minute-ish here. And there's a lot that I want to unpack there, and as it relates to Aaron Rodgers and everything with the Steelers. We'll do that on the other side. I don't want to rush any of this. But the final kind of McAfee thing. I don't know if you saw like everything that happened at the end, but he brought out McAfee, towards the very end, and he's clear that we're winding this thing down. This is going to be the end. They drop a target down, brings out Ben Roethlisberger, and basically says we have 3 footballs, okay? And each one's going to be worth $1 million. If you could throw it in the target from 30, 40 feet away, whatever it was, that's $1 million. If you all $3 million, 2 out of 3, $2 million, you get the gist. And then and so you kind of get like
so kind of like what they were doing like game day, basically like when you take the field goal stuff.
Exact same style with like what McAfee does and give away somebody. And so like if you hit 1, we're going to give away $1 million to the crowd, $2 million to the crowd, $3 million to the crowd. Ben comes out and they're they're having a good time and explaining what they're doing and everything.
Does the crowd know it's 7, right? They know it's 7, right?
They know it's 7. He's the first one out there for a few minutes. But then it starts to feel like okay, and Ben let something slip when him and McAfee were talking. He was like, well, we'll see how everybody does with this. And then they were like, oh, wait, sorry. So they end up, they explaining the game, and Ben's going to throw this. He's like, well, like this doesn't really, like, we need another Pittsburgh legend out here.
Mm-hmm.
And boom comes Paul Skeens. Here comes
Ooh.
Paul Skeens. So what we're going to do is Ben's going to throw one of the footballs. Paul Skeens going to
Mm-hmm.
throw one of the footballs. And you know what? Like, where are we standing right now? Oh, we're in PPG Paints Arena. Who plays
Yeah.
here? The Pittsburgh Penguins. Bang, out comes Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and
Ooh,
Chris
okay.
Letang. And they're like, we're gonna have Sid, we're gonna have him throw one of the footballs as well, too.
Yeah.
So the three guys that are going, Roethlisberger one throw, Skeens one throw,
Mm-hmm.
Sid one throw. Skeens goes first. He goes twice and misses both times.
Bad miss or close miss?
First one bad miss, second one really close miss, like off the
Okay.
off the rim type thing.
Okay. Okay.
Sid comes up next, and in my mind I'm sitting there and I'm like, Sid and Ben, there's no doubt in my mind Sid and Ben are both going to nail this. My only question was if Skeens was, honestly, like, which sounds
Okay.
funny, but none of them had warm up or anything. Skeens misses both. Sid comes up, bang, knocks it down, easy money.
Let's go.
Ben comes up, bang, knocks it down, easy money.
Let's
and so, like,
go.
it was just the 15, 16, 17-year-old in me was still alive for a few minutes
Yeah.
there when Sid knocks that down, when Ben knocks that down, and I'm like, those guys, what they have, if you are my age or older, like what those two have meant to your memories as a sports fan in this area. And then they gave away $2 million to somebody in the crowd. So
no, that's awesome, man. So somebody became a millionaire overnight. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Big shout out to 7 and big shout out to 87 for knocking them down.
Big facts on that, man. And shout out to McAfee, man, doing an awesome job, man. Continue to just dominate this field, man. Love the transition. Love it.
So I guess if we don't figure anything out with Aaron Rodgers or Shedeur Sanders or Jackson Dart, we'll bring in Ben Roethlisberger and Sidney Crosby to compete with Mason Rudolph in training camp, and we'll have tryouts. There we go.
There we go. There we go. You said Archman coming soon, baby. I love it. Heck yeah.
I think Ben would like his chances. I think 7 would really like his chances.
Heck yeah. We're getting up out of there. Heck yeah.
So, where are we at now from a real Steelers black and gold perspective as it relates to the quarterback position? That's kind of the follow-up that I want to have here. 1 or 2 things to talk with Arthur Moats about when we return. We'll do that on the other side. It is the Steelers Blitz on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is the Steelers Blitz with Wesley Uhler and Arthur Moats on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, SNR.
Back on the Blitz as we roll along here, and no finality, no closure, no answer on Aaron Rodgers' watch as Pat McAfee's big night out has come and gone. And Moats, I've said over the last couple weeks, the only thing I know for sure about this is that nothing would surprise me. Like, I remember I told you that the other week. Like, if it happens soon, it wouldn't surprise me. If it happens late, it wouldn't surprise me. If Aaron Rodgers decides to retire, it wouldn't surprise me. If he decides to sign with a team after the 4th of July, right before training camp, it wouldn't, like, nothing would surprise me. And I think you touched on something there when you were talking about just the balance of, kind of depends on which side you're looking at this from, is that I also think that I should add the one thing that we know for sure is that Aaron Rodgers is going to do what he wants to. Like, he's going to make the decision on his timeline. He's not going to be pressured one way or the other, whether it's by the Steelers or maybe any other potential party as well.
Or the draft, nothing. He's like,
the draft, his agent, any other teams. Do what you do, and I'll let you know when I'm ready to make a move, or if I'm going to make a move or a decision.
I mean, it's pretty cool though to be in that position in life, man. Not a lot of people.
Not many people.
Yeah, not many people get there, man. A lot of people have opinions about how they should or how he should act, but it's like, man, none of us have been in that position on this stage with these type of stakes. So, man, to earn that right, to be able to flex that and say, man, I'm gonna make the decision that's best for me on my timeline. Yeah, like, I don't hate it. I love it, man. I love it for him, man, because That's the American dream. We all want that at
I
some
was
point in life to be able to
it's
say, you know what? When I'm ready to
I
decide, I'll take the 40 million. I'll take the 30 million. But until then, man, I'm chilling. Like, and if you don't want to wait on me, you don't have to go and really be unbothered about it. Like,
there it's this it's this weird thing where such a small fraction of the billions and the billions of people that have inhabited this planet know what it's
hmm
like to have that type of employment financial power.
yeah.
A, a fraction of billions of people that have truly been able to say, I'm going to do it my way, Frank Sinatra, and I'll let
hmm
you know. Like, and if
Yeah.
had the power and the autonomy to do it like that, right?
And
And
I'll even say, not even just from a power standpoint, because a lot of people have power, but you got to have like peace with it as well. Like legitimately be
because it might
fine
not
with
always, it's not always going to work
walking
out for you.
away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
most of us only think from the sense of, oh, I'm doing this as a power move because I'm going to win and get what I want. There is still a possibility that the Steelers could say, yo, we don't want to talk to you anymore. We're going to draft. They could do the Minnesota thing. Hey, we're rolling with JJ McCarthy, right? And you have to be willing to be at peace with that also. And it's just like, man, there's not a lot of people out there that do it like this, where it's literally you could go from either being top dog again or being in those conversations again, or man, I'm cool with walking completely away from this thing. Don't talk to me. Like, like that's special, man. Special.
It really is. And again, and I don't care what your line of work is. Like not many people are in that position.
hmm
And like you said, it's important to note too, not many people even when they get to that position are like comfortable sitting in that
hmm
spot like Aaron Rodgers is, for better or for worse. Love
Yeah.
him, hate him, maybe somewhere in between. You're not really bothered either way. Whatever, doesn't affect my life. I don't really care. Don't really pay attention to it. Not moved by it. Um, it's not a position that many of us can relate to. But again, the one thing that we do know is he is comfortable in those positions. He will not make a move. He will not blink until he wants to. So from the pure Steelers perspective, do you now have to operate just as if like assuming that Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be a Steeler until a reason to think otherwise?
I don't look at him as a let's put it like this. I'm not looking at him and just saying he's not going to be a Steeler, because the negotiations, everything that has transpired to this point has shown me that, yeah, I am at least heavily a part of the percentages of him being a part of my team. Minnesota, yeah, you still are in the conversation to some extent, but I think the percentages are a lot higher just based off of the information that we are privy to. So I'm still operating with a certain level of confidence and comfort with that, but I'm also just not putting all my eggs in one basket. And the only way to do that is to now look at the draft, because I've utilized such grace towards Rodgers with the traditional free agency that it's made me lose out on options that to me are more legitimate in terms of us having the best chance of winning a Super Bowl in 2025. So since we have, bypassed on the Phils, we've bypassed on the Russ, we've bypassed on the Sam Darnold, we've bypassed on the Daniel Jones, we've bypassed on the Jameis Winstons, right? That was your initial wave of free agency without having to do any trading, without having to give up any assets. That's just strictly traditional free agency. We passed on that because of us engaging in the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. Now that we have been deemed a finalist, unfortunately, it's not, you become a finalist and you're going to get the results tomorrow. It's a little bit of an open ended final with the chance that you could still be number two at the end of this thing to him retiring. So with that, yeah, we still have to kind of have some type of plan. And that's where the draft becomes more prevalent. That's why we brought up the Shador Sanders visit, because it's like, man, that at least gives us some type of, we feel good that if things don't work out with plan A, this guy right here, if he were to fall in the draft, could come in here and bare minimum, he is going to push Mason Rudolph to have to be his best self coming out of training camp to win. And if that's the worst, great. But the best case could be you get you a kid that comes in here and he's ready to go in year one. We've seen quarterbacks do that.
Oh, absolutely.
We also seen where quarterbacks come in and they develop and they become your franchise guy after a couple of seasons. He fits that mold. He has the traits, he has the intangibles, he also has the production, and it's at various levels. And he had various pieces to promote his production, but also plenty of things that would be counterproductive to his production that he had to overcome. And those are the things that I love to see. And when I'm thinking of projections and why I like particular guys over other guys, that's why I'm the big Shador fan over here. Because of that, I don't get just wowed because of a guy's ability. Because plenty of people have physical ability. You want to see a great arm? Let me show you Zach Wilson. There's plenty of people that have elite ability, but not everybody plays quarterback. Shador plays quarterback, man. Plays at a very high level, very professional level. And the knocks are he extends plays too long. But yet we love when Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow do it. He gets sacked a lot. Joe Burrow was the most sacked quarterback the past couple of seasons. I don't hear anybody hollering about he holds the ball too long. In fact, their styles are very similar. Why? Because they both have trash offense lines they play behind, along with having limited mobility but elite level awareness in terms of pocket presence, and they just have a lot of guts. So that's why they stay in the pocket and take some shots while they're trying to get that ball downfield and dagger you. And if you look at both of their statistical production, it reflects that high pass yardage, high touchdown production, and the beautiful part is not a lot of turnovers, specifically for Shador. So once again, I'm supposed to get cold on a guy because he doesn't throw it from the sidearm angle. Ooh, okay, cool. He doesn't just flick the wrist and throw it 70 yards downfield. Okay, cool.
Most people don't.
What am I missing here? Because when we start looking at all the great quarterbacks, the Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Super Bowl champ quarterbacks, it's going to be a lot more of them that don't do that than that do that. And that's part of it for me, man, that I'm just like, I don't feel nervous about that. I feel confident that that translates. It's not can you play hero ball and can the hero ball translate? It's not you think your arm is better than every defender out here, and until you're proven wrong, you're going to keep taking these chances. It's a hard lesson to learn at this level, man. So for me, that's the way I look at this next course of action, man, from the Steelers and how we're handling the situation as it pertains to Aaron Rodgers. But I think they're handling it the best way they can, man. Best way they can, because once you get this far into the Rodgers part of it, you gotta stay into it.
There's no
easy
no easy kind of, oh yeah, let's just do this from this standpoint. Yeah.
Like you're locked in up until draft night and pray that draft night works in your favor so you get the best course of I have insurance policy.
Yeah. And
Shador doesn't fall to 21. Your insurance policy feels real weak the further the draft goes. At least from my perspective.
Yeah. I like it is not a favorable position to be in right now. Like every day kind of leading up to the draft and maybe even post draft until you get a resolution on this is going to feel just kind of weird in that regard. And like again, there's no easy button for this. There's no Staples easy button. All right, bang, here we go. So we will continue to wait. We will continue to operate.
I mean, if you're the Steelers, though, Wes, how much of a priority does pick 21 become to you the longer we wait now? You said it yourself. We're 2 weeks away. 2 weeks to the day.
Yeah, and this is like you mentioned this. I can't remember if it was early this week or at some point last week. It's been Groundhog Day. We've been having this same conversation for a month.
Mm-hmm.
About how there is a weird line that Aaron Rodgers is walking of he can do what he wants. He has the autonomy to make the decision that he wants to make on his timeline. But at the same time, you can argue the longer he waits, he's kind of hurting himself for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's giving the Steelers in this instance, or anywhere else that he could potentially end up still, I think that's fair to say, less and less time to build and plan around him, particularly when your kind of last big asset adding moment of the offseason is 2 weeks away. The majority of free agency has come and gone. The draft is right around the corner. And those are your two big moments of asset management and asset addition. And so knowing if Aaron Rodgers is going to be your quarterback will obviously change or maneuver how you go about your asset management and asset additions. So that's the weird kind of balance of it in that space too. And so here we are.
And at what point do you feel, and at what point do you question his overall level of commitment to just football? Like, how long do you need to take?
So you know what? That's an interesting question. Let's go to break here. Because I would like to, I've got my thought, and this is another one of those, don't want to have to rush it. Let's get into this for a minute. I've got some thoughts on that. I also, as you as the one with the decade of NFL experience, I'd like to get your take on that. Because I feel like a lot of times people like to say things like, well, if you're thinking about retiring, you already are.
That just sounds cool.
It does kind of, it's pretty catchy. It kind of rolls off the tongue. Kind of like, you know what they say happens when you assume. It's just one of those things that kind of just rolls off the tongue nicely. But is that reality? I want to get your take on that as the one who spent the decade in the National Football League. Let's wrap up the first hour in kind of our daily quarterback watch and quarterback conversation hour when we return on the other side.
Rodgers watch.
Rodgers watch. Here, Wes Uhler, Arthur Moats, the Steelers Blitz on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is the Steelers Blitz with Wesley Uhler and Arthur Moats on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, SNR.
All right, Arthur Moats, I need to know. Listen, let me tell you this. First of all, just real quickly. You know this. I enjoy doing this show with you every time, okay? We are about to enter our 8th season of doing a football show together, which is wild. As you have said before, I am your longest tenured teammate.
There it is.
I enjoy doing these shows with you for a lot of reasons that I've laid out to you and our audience over the years. Your overall positive attitude on life, all these different things.
I'm not a positive guy. I'm very negative, actually. Come on, man. You got to stop this.
But when there are times like this where we really need a peel behind the curtain that average, what's the term? NARPs, right? Non-athletic regular people like myself and the listeners. And I know you might think, hey, I'm not a NARP. I'm a good athlete. Not compared to Arthur Moats, you weren't, okay? I was a pretty good athlete, all right, too. A pretty good hockey player growing up, all right, too. I'm not compared to NFL players who were in the league for a decade, all right? Calm down. As somebody always says, what do you mean? I'm pretty athletic. You should see me play basketball in the gym. I'm sure you are. Okay, but not compared to the guys that played a decade in the NBA. So, Arthur Moats, peel the curtain back for us on this. I really like having you on the show for things like this. You hear that thing that I said before the break from time to time. If you're thinking about retiring, you already are retired. You hear that from fans, from media members, from people a lot. Is that true?
Honestly, everything has some truth to it, but to me, the statement is, it's a variation of seeking comfort, man. You're trying to get control back in your hands. You are waiting because you don't know if you want to retire or not, i.e., you don't know if you want me or not. So if you don't know if you want me, that means you already have left. So if you're contemplating retirement, that means you already are retired. Don't tell me you don't know if you want to stay in this marriage. If you contemplate if you want to be with me, then you've already left. Right? You just want to take the control back. But how many times in a relationship have you been with somebody and they're like, hey, I don't know. You ain't just walk out that same moment. No, you sat there and gave them time. And if you really liked them, you gave them a lot of time. And if you really, really liked, they might have went and talked to other teams and everything and then came back to you and you still was like, you know what? It's all right. So what makes this different exactly? Oh, that's right. Because it's a sport with air quotes. Now we got to remove the human part of it. And we act as if we don't know these things, man. But that's all that is, honestly. And the reason I say that is because from personal experiences. I had a hard conversation, man, with my trusted people in going into year 7. I want to retire. I remember saying those words, bro. I'm ready to retire. I've made my money. I'm happy. I've balled out. I've lived the dream. I've done everything but win a championship. And honestly, I'm at peace with not winning a championship if that's how it ended for me. I'm ready to walk away. That was like I said, going into year 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I'm like, man, I'm cool. Now, after that conversation, the way the conversation went and what was talked about, it shifted my perspective. And I still played what? Year 7, year 8, and year 9.
3 more years, yeah.
3 more years. But I was already going into that dinner, going into year 7, because we had
Like, I'm
just
done.
finished up year 6. And I'm like, yo, I'm done, bro. I'm on there like, yeah, man, I brought you in here because, like, yo, you my mans. This my wife, like, this the squad. Like, I trust everybody in here. Y'all know how I feel when I talk to y'all, man. So, like, this the energy. And they were the ones who kind of talked me out of that. So I can't sit here and act like, oh, yeah, when you start thinking about retirement, it's over. Because I think of the dudes that I beat out going into year 7. I think of the dudes I beat out going into year 8. Heck, I went out there on that flight to AZ in year 9. I was sitting out there in year 9. I remember what that felt like. And it's like, but I knew this conversation happened going into year 7.
Right.
Like, to this day, could think of the restaurant, could think of everybody.
I'm
like,
sure.
We were
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
yeah, never forget it. Yeah. Because it was a big moment for me, man. But what I will say is this. As professional athletes, man, and I definitely believe with Aaron Rodgers to a whole nother level just because of how talented he is. Once we're able to shift our perspective or we make our mind up that this is what the new goal is, we lock in. That's the big reason why a lot of us have been able to make it to this level. It's not just talent. Everybody has some form of talent, and especially the higher up you get collegiately and then trying to make it to the professional ranks. But you get here because you're just burning desire. Once you lock in on something, you obsess over your craft. That pass that you see Aaron Rodgers throw in the game and you get excited when it's a completion, and you might only see him throw that same pass 5 times that game. He's probably throwing that pass 5,000 times. When he talks about watching film, he's probably seeing this concept so many times. So for him, man, once he decides that, all right, I'm ready to commit to this again, that doesn't go away. And that was the thing that I realized in year 7. Yeah, I didn't want to do it prior to that commitment. But once we committed and it was like, yo, this is what the plan is. Okay, new goal, new objective. I already know how to get to the money. I already know how to go ahead and do what I do. And that's why we always say we're mercenaries, right? I'm going to do what I got to do to get this check. I don't want to do it necessarily because of the passion of it at that stage, but I know exactly what my skill set is. I know exactly how to get this done at a high level, and I know how to do it at a level that even if I'm not smiling 100%, I'm still better than 98.9% of the population walking around, and you pray that they don't draft TJ Watt. Well, then they do, and it's all good. Then you hit it. You say, all right, I'm going to go to AZ then, all right? But that's, what I think of, honestly, from that perspective of if you're already considering retirement, you already are retired. I don't think that's the case. I think that, yes, once you start having those thoughts, you are a lot closer to retiring than you're not.
Sure.
But once you refocus, we saw Michael Jordan, for crying out loud. And granted, he's the outlier of all outliers. We saw him walk away, not once, twice. But when it's time for him to recommit, you ain't have to question, was he in the gym shooting? The issue becomes now, can your bodies hold up? Can your body sustain it?
Right.
But as an athlete, man, and the guys that have done it to that level, it's like, man, they're serial killers with it. The way that they focus, the way that, man, I tell you how many times I would talk about Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell being the hardest workers I've ever seen. James Harrison, hardest worker I've ever seen. That doesn't go away. Even when it wasn't popular, even when they weren't even posted, but even when it wasn't like, yo, you're even training for a purpose. How many times we've seen Antonio? AB still got 6-pack abs right now. What do you think he's training for? Nothing. The same reason why I still got 6-pack abs right now. What am I training for? Nothing. But that's who we are. That's our makeup. You're just so used to certain qualities, and you just say, I don't think that I'm willing to commit to doing it to the level that I deem varsity for me.
Sure.
With Aaron Rodgers varsity or not varsity compared to the general population, he could be saying his 3,800 is still JV. He could say when he throws for 4,200 is JV. We already said, man, if any of these dudes,
It's their best year.
come on now, there's levels to it. So everybody just has a different internal say is standard or not. And I just think that when we start throwing the retirement word out there, at times because of that feeling of, all right, are you not wanting me or are you not going to choose me? Well, hey, if you're not going to choose me, let me just force the issue. You don't want me anyways, then you about to retire anyways. You already retired. It's like it sounds cool because it makes us feel like, hey, we don't have to have as much hope. We don't have to feel as much, potential hurt if he doesn't choose us. But no, let's be real, even if he was considering it, he's still going to be better than all the other guys that aren't considering it. Because I can tell you once again, for a fact, I'm not Aaron Rodgers, but I beat out multiple dudes that were extremely hungry just coming into the league. Like, yo, I can't wait to live out my dream. And I'm like,
Boy, you
yeah,
thought.
bro. Hey, look, bro. I had to reassess. I got a new 3-year mission real quick. All right, bro. So I hate that I got to be the one to end your dream here, but this is what it is. So with Rodgers, man, I don't see that changing anyway. My man could be 90% wanting to be retired, and then he turn around and be like, all right, I'm ready to do it. I'm gonna commit to at least this season. And we're gonna be like, yes, thank you, God. We appreciate you.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I think you give a lot of good examples there. You made me think of a couple others. Like you
James
mentioned.
Harrison. James Harrison. I literally watched him. My first time ever interacting with him was the day he's coming in to retire. I tell you, I ain't speak. I got a little clammed up, got a little nervous. He was a little angry looking. But he came back out of retirement and played 4 seasons with me, man. Like, what are we talking about? 4 seasons at a high level, and then even bounced and went to New England on the back end. Like, dudes do it. Dudes walk
Um,
away and they still like, yo, if you turn that switch back on, it's on.
and maybe not for everybody, but for somebody like those dudes that we mentioned, for somebody
Right.
like Aaron Rodgers. You mentioned like the Jordan example made me think. Mario Lemieux did that as well too in his career with the
Mm-hmm.
Penguins. Retired, came back, and was still one of the better players in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think of somebody like Jerome Bettis. I mean, we all remember the whole like Hines
They had to
Ward, Ben
talk him into it. They
Roethlisberger.
had to
They had to
talk him into
talk
it.
him into coming back for another season. Rob Gronkowski retired for a whole year, then came back
Mm-hmm.
to Tampa Bay and was
Yeah.
dominant down. They scored like 9 touchdowns
Like I said,
that
it
season, I think, and
sounds
was
good
dominant down
in
the stretch.
theory. It sounds good in theory. Yeah. If you already contemplate retirement, you retired anyway. I don't want you. Because you halfway in. You halfway in, one foot in, 1 foot out. It sounds good. His 1 foot in, though, is still 3,800 yards worth of production. Maybe even 4,100 because he's getting more healthy. Yeah. That's what his half foot in looks like. So would you rather have a whole foot of 2,200 passing yards or a half foot of 3,800 passing yards, 28 touchdowns? You tell me.
It's
But I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert. I'm just be out here talking. All right. I just talk from just the experiences that I've had along the way because I could be completely wrong. All right. So I'll just tell you from what I've seen, what I personally experienced. This is how it tracks to me. So yeah, I'm not tripping on any of him contemplating retirement, man. It's like I said, I'm gonna say the same thing y'all say too. If you're thinking about it, you already done it. Yeah. Just don't look in the mirror and say that, Arthur.
I'm I'm contemplating retirement. I
I
hope
contemplate retirement every
Hope
day.
Arthur Moats is not contemplating his second retirement because he did once already.
It's
Remember
like that.
that when I famously asked Arthur Moats on this show
Oops.
one time, at what age do you think you would like to retire? And he looked at me and said, "You mean again?"
Yeah, again, because I've already retired once, and I feel good about it. I feel great about the retirement. I've been excellent in post retirement life. I'm just, I do more hobby than real work. That's why I'm not a fan of like, oh, we want to work. It's like, oh, I ain't trying to work, bro. Oh, we could, oh, I ain't trying to do all that now. Oh, I retired now. Yeah,
You mean like retire? Like, no, you got another one coming around. All
yeah.
right.
He's like, you got another one. I'm like, I'm looking for that one too. Shit. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
no
team
one's not. Be
retirement.
serious, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
It's like my dad, you know. And then my dad retired from the symphony, but he's still
yeah.
playing the
He
violin.
still
He's still
plays.
doing. He's
Yeah.
in Boston right now, playing concerts
Mm-hmm.
with the Boston Symphony this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's
See,
retired,
still retired
but
though.
he
He's
ain't like
retired.
retired. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
1 hour in the books, halfway home, another hour to go, and we have got to talk about some movement, some news, some notables around TJ Watt and a potential contract extension with the Pittsburgh Steelers as he enters the last year of his deal. We have got to get into that to start hour number 2, and we will as we roll along. It is the Steelers Blitz on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good afternoon, Steelers Nation. How we doing?
I'm hungry for tacos.
Well, too bad for you. It's not Taco Tuesday, but the good news is you are an adult, so you can have tacos whenever you want. You do not have to be confined to Tuesday as we head to the weekend.
That's great news right there, man. That's great news.
I'm glad that I could be the one to deliver you some great news, Arthur Moats, because to start hour number 2 here of the Steelers Blitz, I think I would be too dramatic. I would be too headline clickbaity if I said that this was bad news. But I think maybe not the TJ Watt contract conversation that we want to have, that we now have to have here to start hour number 2. A reminder, though, first, quickly, we will get to your tweets before this hour is over and this program closes down. So you know where to get at us if you want to get involved on Twitter, on X, at Wesley Uhler, at the Body 52.
The Body.
All right, Arthur Moats, we all know this. I think, again, it's a football show. It's the off season. You're still listening. You know this. You're a Steelers junkie. You're a football junkie. But for those who might not, because what's that whole thing we were just talking about what they say happens when you assume? TJ Watt entering the last year,
baby.
Was Arthur Moats would say, when you assume you get it right.
You're going to get it right. I already know the deal. I'm getting it right.
So I'm assuming that you all know TJ Watt's entering the last year of his deal. And that is the time, particularly for players of TJ Watt's stature, that you negotiate new contracts.
More money, more money, more money.
It's been a little quiet on this front throughout the offseason, which is not surprising. TJ Watt has done this with the Steelers before. I don't think a lot of us expected a bunch of noise this offseason around this. A little quiet around this. I think a lot of us had speculated that maybe it could even be closer to or during training camp before we even really get some concrete news on this. Well, that all kind of changed when TJ Watt on his Instagram story posted a picture from this past season of him trotting off the field. And in that picture, he's kind of holding his 2 fingers up that it looks like almost like a peace sign. And Arthur Moats, we know how this works in the year of our Lord 2025. When somebody posts something like this on their social media, particularly during a time that it's thought that they're in the middle of contract extensions, conversations, everyone goes, oh my gosh, TJ Watt posted a picture of him running off the field giving a peace sign. That means he's foreshadowing that he's saying goodbye to the Steelers fans and the Steelers franchise. Now, off the back of that, that's not the only piece of new data that we have to discuss here. Ian Rappaport, one of those pretty credible NFL insiders, right?
Rap sheet.
He went on the NFL Network today and was asked about TJ Watt's Instagram post. And he says, and I quote here, generally when a player makes a social media post that forces us to talk about it like we're doing right now, it's because contract negotiations are not going as well as they had hoped. I think we can safely say that contract negotiations between TJ Watt and the Steelers are not off to a rip-roaring start. It doesn't mean they won't get there. They've gotten there before. He is a great player who deserves every penny, end quote. So 2 things there, Arthur Moats. 1, I think he is correct. I'm not naive that when players typically do this on social media, it's the whole where there's smoke, there's fire type thing. The second, though, is I don't know that you can safely say that contract negotiations are off to a poor start. I think you could safely assume, but I don't know I think you might be going a little too far to safely say. Now, as well, too, Ian Rappaport is a national credible insider, but he is still national as well. Mark Cabali just recently putting out this as well after talking to people. This is from Kaboom today, Arthur Moats. After talking to people, I'd keep an eye on this Steelers and TJ Watt contract situation moving forward a little more closely. It doesn't appear that picture that he posted on Instagram was just by chance. I'd imagine an extension is still going to get done, but the price tag just might be a tad higher than some anticipated. So, Arthur Moats, with all of that kind of new in the last 12 to 24 hours here, depending on when people are listening to this. This is one of those moments, again, that I love to have your decade of NFL experience on hand for the show. What do you make of all this recent moving and shaking around TJ Watt and his potential contract extension with the Steelers?
Well, started off, you asked about the Instagram post. I think he just likes the picture. He likes the picture. It's a nice picture.
It is a cool picture.
It's a good picture.
He's got a nice smile.
I'm saying it's a game day photo.
Haircut's good. Game day picture. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, as an athlete, Wes, no, bump that, Wes. We ain't even about to do that. Your first introduction into professional sports, what was your role?
It was the broadcast. Oh, wait, professional sports?
Do you not consider the hockey team as professional? Are they not professional to you? That's a professional job, right?
Yes.
They get paid to play the sport. They're professional, right? Now, you said you had a job with them, correct? And
correct,
what was your job with that? Yeah, you had a job with them, right?
I did. If you're going where I think of this,
I'm going exactly where we're going.
Very impressed that you remember this story.
I'm exactly going there. Yes.
I was a lot of different things, as you do when you work at that level of, minor league entry level sports. I was the broadcaster. I was the media guy, the communications PR. I sold tickets. I did the website and the social media.
That wasn't your most important job. You had a really important job that
I can't
required
believe
a lot of
demand.
This is a lot of demand. Come on, bro.
I told you this story like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Come on, man.
And I know where you're going with this, so I don't need to beat around the bush. The most important duty of my job to the players on the team was we would play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, we would play weekend sets like you do in minor league sports. 2 or 3 games. The same team would come to Youngstown on the weekend, or we would go there on the weekend. And my most important gig was, as soon as, whether it was Sunday or Monday, depending on if the team played on Sunday or not, whenever the weekend of games was over, I would get a Dropbox link from the game photographer, right? Whether it was a home or away game, all the media guys would get a Dropbox link of the game photos that you could use for your website, for social media, for graphics, for all that different stuff, right? And if I didn't forward that email to all the players so they could get all those pictures to put on their social media, to use on their dating profiles, to send to their girlfriends and send to their moms and their grandmas and all those different things, I would get 37 text messages within a couple hours.
Your day go right.
This was a decade ago at a much lower level than TJ Watt is playing. These guys do love those game photos of themselves, as Moats can attest to.
Yes.
And as a guy who was in charge of making sure that in one of my 50 million jobs with the hockey team when I was breaking into sports, making sure that the players got those pictures as soon as possible.
Listen, the amount of pictures that I have of myself in professional uniforms in every game matters. I even have preseason. I have OTA. I have every OTA mini camp. I have my first picture when I first stepped on a NFL practice field up in Buffalo, New York, running number 53 Bills jersey with some Reebok cleats on, bro. All right. All the pictures matter. So to me, I just think TJ really liked that picture, man. That was his picture. So that was what I went with first. The second thing I said was, okay, let's do investigative journalism, right? Big J journalism, because that's what we're supposed to do. Well, I said, man, the last 2 hard posts that I like from TJ were him welcoming his baby into the world and then him shouting out his wife. Well, forgive me, but the quarterback we just had has been big on cinco, i.e. Russell Wilson promoting for baby number 5 with Sierra, his lovely wife. Well, why can't TJ be saying we just had 1? So what's he holding up in the picture?
Oh, 2. Second child.
2 fingers. He was baby number 2. The same way everybody knows that you got a baby on the way, so we've been waiting on your baby to drop.
You stop it.
TJ's trying to hop into the game too. He's like, yo, I want another one now, man. Run it back. Let me get 2 of them. And there's nothing wrong with that. So that was the third thing that I thought of. I was like, you know what? It's definitely that, because love is in the air. It's that time of year. Russell Wilson has clearly rubbed off on TJ, and now TJ is, publicly trying to get that second baby out there. So that was what I went with. All right.
You funny.
But then I guess if I had to take a little bit more of a, oh God, what if he's going to leave me approach? If I had to go there, then yes. I said maybe I could look at this a little bit differently and say, well, TJ doesn't post on social media. And when he does post, it rarely has anything to deal with football. Heck, when he was pissed off about being snubbed, he dropped the MJ meme. It wasn't even a him in a uniform, it was an MJ meme. I took it personally. You rarely ever see him post anything football related. So yeah, with that, it's an easy way to point and say, yes, there could be something off. Cause for concern, no. It's negotiations. Me personally, the public side of it, I think rarely this is a rare situation, but I think it will benefit TJ because of how TJ has conducted himself as a professional. No off the field issues, has been dominant since the day he's come on this team. Since they joined this roster, he has been the best pass rusher. No ifs, ands, or buts, the best player out there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, man. And you look at what he's been able to do throughout his tenure here. You look at what he's been able to do from an accolade standpoint. You look at from longevity, short term, along with what you're projecting in 2025 and in 2026. A lot of things promote or would push towards TJ Watt continuing to be one of the best defenders in the world. So there isn't a lot of room for me to entertain conversations surrounding why not to pay arguably the second most important position on the field. And the reason why I say arguably is depending on how you feel about left tackle, the guy that protects the quarterback, or the pass rusher, the guy that goes and hunts the quarterback. But it's one or two, not receiver, not corner. It's pass rusher or left tackle. Who's the guy that's protecting him? Who's the guy that's going to kill him? All right. But obviously, we know the most important spot is quarterback. So to have a guy that is still clearly in his prime, clearly dominant, clearly aging like fine wine, clearly not a issue in the locker room or off the field or publicly in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, I don't have a lot of patience for why you're not paying this dude or why you're telling him what he doesn't want to hear. If TJ walked in there and said, I want $41 million, he's worth $41 million because you allowed the market to get to $40 million. You have nobody to look at and feel negatively about but yourself. Why is that? You set the rules that you don't negotiate in season. So you didn't negotiate last year in season. Okay, cool. We're not holding that against you. You set this rule that you don't prioritize extending contracts for guys that are currently under contract until training camp time frame. These are your rules. We don't make these rules up. There isn't nothing that says a deal couldn't get done in January. There is nothing that says a deal couldn't get done in February, March, all prior to Max Crosby getting his extension, all prior to Myles Garrett getting his extension. Nothing that says that. This is cause and effect. And I'm not here to, make it as if it's a negative on the Steelers, but this is just the way that they have conducted business. This is the cause and effect of that. You don't get to have it both ways. And to me, TJ Watt already gave you a brother-in-law deal on the first go around. He could have took 30 plus. He took 28. So now we're going to ask him again and again and again. And how much are we asking him to take less? Because if the new number is 40, right? We saw what Myles Garrett signed for, 40. How much you want to take less now? The same ones that y'all pump your chest so much to say how much better TJ Watt is than Myles Garrett, right? That same guy that we will bring up every statistical metric. We discredit a whole $1 million publication named PFF, who is heavily in bed with the National Football League solely because of their affair and affinity for Myles Garrett and the lack thereof for TJ Watt. But now we're supposed to say, TJ, take 30, TJ, take 35, TJ, take 37. What are we talking about? So to me, yeah, when I see TJ have to go to social media outside of what I pray it is, him wanting baby number 2 or him just really loving that picture, I'm pissed because it's like, yo, don't play with those type of players. TJ Watt's the equivalent of your franchise quarterback because that's what he has been to this team. Heck, we know what he's been when you talk about his impact on wins and losses. But as a whole, it's TJ Watt, man. Don't tell me you want to win in 2025 if he's not on your roster.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about how many assets we're able to acquire because you moved on from TJ Watt, because none of those picks, whether you get them pre-draft, post-draft, or TJ Watt. Hey, what if you could get Abdul Carter? Abdul Carter is great. It's unfortunate his name is not Trent Jordan Watt. Okay. So until I have Trent Jordan Watt on my team in 2025, I don't believe we're trying to be competitive like that. And right now, if you allow a negotiation to not go the way that it needs to go, you could fall into that case. And forgive me for, having more urgency with it and a little bit of perturbedness with my tone, but it's largely due to the fact that this offseason, the boss man, Mr. Rooney himself, said in January, my priorities are Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. And because of our negotiation tactics and us trying to win in either of those, it has had us left with zero in our hand. What was that one saying they used to have? A bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush? Huh. Make it make sense. So here we are. So with TJ Watt, I'm just looking, I'm saying, are we going to play this game again? You want to win the negotiation that bad again? Or is he worth an extra million? You tell me. You really want to win that negotiation? Or do you want TJ Watt on your team? I prefer TJ Watt.
So there is a lot to unpack there. We're going to go to break. I got two things there specifically that I want to follow up on. We'll continue this on the other side.
I like the number 2. See, they have another baby. Hey now.
I already have 2. What do you mean having another one? You mean for TJ? Yeah.
Yeah. TJ get another one and you get another one. So that's section 2. Come on, bro.
Yeah. You familiar much with Lord of the Rings, Arthur Moats?
Absolutely. I love Lord of the Rings, man. Come on, man.
The hobbits, right? They eat like 7 meals a day. All they do is
Master
eat.
Frodo and all them folk. Yeah.
And there's a famous funny scene in the first movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, where the hobbits go, "What about breakfast?" And Aragorn goes, "We already had it." And the hobbits go, "Oh, we had first breakfast, but now we need to have second breakfast."
Yeah, second breakfast. Come on, man.
"What about baby?" "We already had it." "Yeah, but what about second baby?"
We need second baby. Come on, man. You know what it is.
It's the Steelers Blitz on Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.
This is the Steelers Blitz with Wesley Uhler and Arthur Moats on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, SNR.
Penultimate segment of the Steelers Blitz here, and I want to get right back into this TJ Watt and contract negotiation conversation. Plenty to unpack there, Moats, and I think you make a ton of good points, and you using that experience of you being in this position before and peeling back that curtain for everybody. Two things that stand out to me. The first is, I think a lot of times we're naive with this, especially with like all-time great, performers and athletes like TJ is. I think we always think contract negotiations are going to be easier than they are. And
it's negotiation, bro. It gets weird.
Sometimes it is. Like even this past year, like Cam Hayward and Pat Freiermuth's negotiations seemed like they went fairly reasonably. But man, that feels
No, Cam.
Well, that's true, actually. What am I talking about with Cam?
What?
He had some things going on with some OTAs and some mini camp participation and attendance. That's a great point by you. In fact,
it took him saying at OTAs, "Hey, I'm not going to miss anything mandatory. I will be here for training camp, but I do want a new contract." It took him, and we both said, "What? Boy, you might have lost your leverage saying that." That's what we said. Yeah, man. That was no easy one. We'll say Move was easier. Move was like, whoa, you
good point. Great point by you. And
yeah.
so again, maybe that kind of adds to my point then, though. Even like it's never as easy as we think it's going to be. Even with a guy like Seven, who was a Steeler lifer, Super Bowl champion, longest tenured Steeler ever, like it still wasn't easy with him in his last negotiation or two. So that's the first thing. Like I think we all assume, like, especially with guys like Ben Roethlisberger, especially with guys like TJ Watt, gonna be a Steeler for life, wants to be a Steeler for life. And so that just means it's gonna be easy. Like, here's the contract. You know what? Maybe I want a little bit more. Well, would you settle for this? Okay, sure. Like, this is gonna get done over lunch in a 20-minute conversation. It's not that easy, Arthur Moats. It never is that easy. That's kind
This
of
is business.
It's just business at it's
We
high
don't we
level
don't like to
business.
think of football as business. This is business. This player is no different than if you and another person are negotiating on the price of a car. And you're trying to get the car for 100,000, they're trying to sell you the car for 150,000. And you're like, no, I only want to pay 100. Well, he's worth 150. Well, no, it ain't. He's only worth this much. And you're just arguing back and forth until you can find some common ground. And then you'll have outsiders, Kelly Blue Book, right? Hey, man, it's worth this. Why? Because on average, this is what these type of models go for. Well, we don't want to pay that because I don't have 150 grand to pay you. I only got 120 to pay you, but I'm trying to get you for 100 and use this other 20 on something else. Well, hey, man, from my side, I want to get the most out of this. I
It's
know
so
he's
true.
worth 150, but I might could get
Moats.
170 if I get the right person. If I get you a desperate enough buyer, that's what
People
all of this is, man.
people haggle and go back and forth
Yeah.
about like a $40 end table on Facebook Marketplace.
Come on now. Come on now. And now we
I
talking
only want to
about
pay
40
30.
million. We ain't
Would
gonna
you
do
pay
that.
35?
All right. Shit. We're talking about
That's
big
why
boy money, man. Yeah.
I tell my wife all the time, don't sell anything on Facebook Marketplace. I'd
Duh.
rather just take it to Goodwill than have to haggle with somebody over $20 for a week. I don't
Yeah.
care. I'd rather just take it to Goodwill.
Yeah. Because everybody wants to, I got to get the best deal out of it. No, you don't, man. If you want it, you want it. If not, no, move on. But that's kind of the thing right there. It's like we're so conditioned to we have to win every single deal. And it's a dangerous game that you play in negotiations. I told you from my experience, man, you tried to win that deal, almost had me, all right, I'm getting Atlanta then. You win. I'll holler at you until you don't win. Now you got to overpay. And that's how these things go. But then sometimes it works in their favor. And we're looking, we're like, oh man, you got that guy for that much? That's a steal. How'd you do that? Negotiation tactic. And there was a time, even with my process, where I told you, yeah, if they would have offered this during that time frame, and I would have signed for way less. But they chose this approach. And everybody has different approaches, man. Some people want to lowball, some people want to come out the gate and just give you the best offer up front. Others, they're trying to get over on you. And it's just like, all right, well, when you take these approaches, just know it's human nature. I mean, it's a human that you're dealing with. It's not a robot. It's not Madden. It's not, I'm going to throw out a low ball deal to TJ Watt and hey, everything's going to be fine. He'll either reject it, but no hard feelings will come right back, or he's going to accept it. Nah, when you throw that deal out there and you have something attached to it to justify, because that's typically how it works also, that's how you get that awkward conversation of, they said, what, Drew? Hey, bro, we ain't talking to them no more then. Hey, we done with them. That's how that convo goes, man. They said, I'm what? Okay, well, hey, look, Drew, I appreciate you. And I'm referencing Rosenhaus because that was my agent at the time. Hey, Drew, I appreciate you on that. We ain't got to talk to them no more then. Don't worry about it. And then you get a phone call 24 hours before you're about to catch a flight to go sign your contract. Like, it's real, man. So this is all a part of it, man. But like I said, I do hope that it does work out in the right way. But yeah, listen to the insiders though to an extent, man. The Rappaports, man, they're around enough high level execs that when they start hearing that name pop up as that might be available, hey, that could be something down the line. Hey, the timing of it could get weird. It's pre-draft. Hey, watch out if nothing gets done before the draft. Maybe it's a draft night round one movement. Let's make sure. Okay. And then once you get out of that window, now it goes back to, all right, cool. You probably get a deal done at some point. All right. Or is it holdout scenario? Right. That's where to shift to. But that's kind of where we are with this thing right now, just based off the negotiation calendar. And the unfortunate part, they better win before the boy and dolls get paid.
I was going to say, it's not getting any cheaper. In fact, it could go up even a little bit as well, too. Yeah, makes a lot of sense when you lay it out that way. People can't go to a yard sale, garage sale, and buy a $10 Fisher Price toy. They got to offer $5 for it. Oh, would you give me $7? Okay, sure.
And Wes, think about this. And what's the first thing they're going to say when they go tell their friend, hey, I got this thing. They wanted 10. I only paid 6. Did you actually want the thing, or did you just want to win the negotiation? God damn.
You want to know? You
Like,
just wanted to
tell
go
me-
home and be able to tell your husband or wife, I got something for $3 cheaper.
Right,
No, you just spent the money.
But did you actually
still.
want it? Right? Did you actually want the thing though? Like, God, dog, man. But that's like the first thing. Hey, you know, I did this and I saved this much. Like, all right, bro.
Second thing with this, second observation is I forget exactly what you said, but because it's been a few minutes now that made me think of this. But when we talk about, because there is not a large faction, but there is a small faction of Steeler fans saying, you know what, like, given TJ's age, given where we think the team is not a Super Bowl contender, I would just, I wouldn't pay TJ 40 million, 41 million. I wouldn't pay him Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons, money. I would just trade him and rebuild for the future anyways. The funniest thing that follows up to me after that is this. Okay, so what would a trade package look like for TJ Watt? I literally heard one of the local radio hosts do this today.
I already know. Go ahead. I already know.
Well, I'm starting with 2 first-round draft picks.
Make it make sense, Wes. Make it make sense, Wes.
So
I wish they could see they could see your face right now. Make it make sense.
You're telling me that because of his age and because of the money that it's going to cost, you don't want to pay him a contract, but you're going to demand 2 first-round draft picks plus maybe another player, maybe a 3rd or 4th conditional 5th round pick,
and they're still going to have to sign him to a contract.
Like, just so let's all be reasonable.
Make it make sense, man.
Whether you want TJ Watt back and you'll hand him a blank check to do so, whether you're somebody that's kind of going with that logic that I just said, let's just all be reasonable in these conversations, okay? Mm-hmm. Because do not tell me I wouldn't pay him that money. I'm just going to trade him. We're not going to win a Super Bowl this year anyways. And then tell me you want 2 first-round draft picks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that something's not mathing. Something's not mathing. Okay? And I know some people have said, well, look, DK Metcalf was a 2nd-round pick, and the Steelers still had to pay him, and look what TJ Watt...
2 different positions, 2 different age groups, 2 different animals. 2 way different animals, man.
If you're trading TJ Watt at age 27, you're demanding 2 first-round draft picks. All right? But that's the part that makes me laugh is you can't be both. Because listen, I think you can make a reasonable argument that if you were going to trade TJ Watt, you should start with 2 first-round draft picks. But don't tell me that when you just told me that he's not worth a new contract with what he with making money still as the top or 1-2
when guys get $40 million a year, they're typically worth 2 first-round draft picks. If you're worth $40 million a year, you're worth 2 first-round draft picks, man. You're telling me it's raining, but that I don't need to bring an umbrella or wear a rain jacket. Like the 2 first-round picks are saying, hey, this is so much prerequisite work done on these picks that they are such a premium. I.e., if I'm going to pay you $40 million a year, there's been so much prerequisite work done on this player. I know there is a just 10% or less chance that I'm going to miss on this pick. That's why he's worth that price. You're either paying it in cash or you're paying it with an investment. You want the stock or you want the cash? Which one you want, man? All right, but either way, or excuse me, one's like I said, a rental, little long-term thing that you're going to hold on. One you gotta have to cash up front for. But either way, it's like, they both got value. They both bring a lot to the table. And that's why TJ is worth either the big contract or you got to move him, but you got to try to get those picks. Me personally, I think it's a lot harder to find another TJ Watt.
And again,
if it wasn't, then every year, whoever the new marquee athletic pass rusher, he would come in here and lead the league in sacks. He would come in here right off the bus and get you 10 plus, 15 plus. But we've seen now that's not the case. And just because you look good and run fast does not mean you're an actual good football player.
I think this also gets back to, I always think it's important to mention this every once in a while when we have these type of conversations. This gets back to what we were saying about Aaron Rodgers and what gives you the best chance of winning a Super Bowl and contending for a Super Bowl in 2025. You might want the Steelers to not sign Aaron Rodgers and not draft a quarterback and just go out there and go at it with Mason because you think maybe they'll only win 5 or 6 games and then a better draft pick. You might want the Steelers to trade TJ Watt, take a step back this year, acquire more draft picks. And I'm not saying that logic makes you an idiot or anything like that, but we operate on this show with the premise that is not how the Steelers operate.
Well, and I would just say from my interactions with the Steelers, they don't ever operate with that mindset.
They
It's
don't. And so
always we're trying to win a championship because we're the best in the world, and you don't get to that room without being the best in the world. And if you are second guessing if you're the best in the world, guess what? You're not the best in the world, man. And you're gonna have some issues even staying at this level. So that's the confidence that they operate with. But honestly, if you go into just the football side of it, I'm not talking management. I'm talking front office suits. I'm talking coaches, locker room. You very rarely run into NFL locker rooms where guys genuinely don't believe they are the best. Like just players.
they didn't get to
I'm
that
talking
point without having
practice
that
squad.
kind of
I'm
confidence.
talking off season 90-man roster. Wes, if you went down there and was like, yo, you think you nice? Yes, bro, I'm nice as heck. Hey, bro, you think you nice? Yes, bro, I'm nice as heck. You know you probably gonna
The
get cut.
guys
I
on the
don't care. I'm
practice
nice as
squad
heck,
are like,
bro.
I'm better than that guy. Why is he getting a helmet on Sundays?
No. Dudes that be cut 2-3 times. They like, bro, I didn't even know why they paid him 10 million. I'm nicer than him, bro. He just got drafted. He went to a bigger school. That's it. Like I'm trying to tell you, that's the mindset. So
Totally.
this like narrative that, oh man, dudes, oh yeah, we could go out there and suck. Like we think we're gonna lose. No, that's once again, fan, media, business. That's that mindset. The player, the competitor, nah, you don't get to that level with that mindset. It's way too long and hard of a journey, man. Even if you're humble, you humbly will publicly say, yeah, I don't think I'm the best. But you're not humble. You tell me when you've heard a guy say publicly and genuinely believe it, I don't belong. I suck. They might say it out of emotion, tongue in cheek after a bad play, but we have never seen a dude genuinely, consistently say, yeah, I'm not good enough to be at this level. I'm not good enough to play at this level because you wouldn't be at this level. You would have never even got the opportunity to step on that field. So that mindset of we're willingly going to go into this thing to lose, or we're willingly going to go into this thing less manned and not want nobody to overachieve. Why is Next Man Up so popular here in Pittsburgh? Because every single time where it should have been, we're going to lose, we're going to suck, we're going to get bad. No, the mindset is, bro, if you got that black and gold on, you better be good enough to play here. I don't care if you're the starter or the fourth guy on the depth chart. When your time is called, go out there and execute. The proof has been in the pudding. So you see what we are. And that's, like I said, for me, why, yeah. I already know, man. We ain't gonna never have that mindset here.
I always think too when we have the
Not with
acquiring,
the current people, yeah.
when we have the quarterback conversation, when we have the TJ Watt contract conversation, I think it's important to note that that's just. I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying like take a step back at quarterback, trade TJ, like. The Steelers, they go out and they trade for DK Metcalf and give that guy $150 million contract. They don't take a step back.
Hey, Wes, question.
We're operating from that point of reality.
Would you say more teams and more people around the world are like the Steelers, or would we say the Steelers are a little bit different than a lot of teams and a lot of people? In terms of success, in terms of just how they run it, in terms of their brand, in terms of just who they are. Would we say that they are the norm, or are they the outliers? They're the different. They're the y'all do it this way. We're doing it this way, right?
And they're what a lot of people around the league are aspiring to be.
Okay, so
stability is a when you get outside of like a couple of the good NFL teams that have had stable ownership and management for a long time, and there's a couple other of those around the league like the Steelers. You talk to those other fan bases, and it becomes apparent real quick how much stability is valued around the National Football League.
So it's almost just like sometimes perspective matters. And I get it, as a fan base, our perspective is different because of how close we are to it. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's why I'm just glad to be in the position to just kind of remind it a little bit. Like, yeah.
That also doesn't mean that every decision and everything they do is absolutely nailed on the 100% correct decision. But it's just... We all know in a lot of ways their belief system, and we're not going to waste your time operating outside of things that aren't going to happen within that belief system. Let's stink at quarterback. Let's trade DJ. Let's trade Cam. Let's take a step back for a year or two and build assets.
There are some teams that take that approach, and to different levels of success and different amount of time having to elapse for that success to happen. For some people, they're fans of that, and their fan bases reflect that. Then you think of the Steelers fan base and how they are reflected, and it's a reason why. So once again, if that's truly what you're looking for, It's not hard to find. But let's also call a spade a spade. It's kind of like when you say, if you don't want to build me, then just leave. If the Steelers ain't gonna never change, then I ain't gonna support it no more. It sounds good. I'm tired of this. Yeah, it sounds good. Hey man, I just can't stop. Nah, oh my god, this sucks. It sounds good. So once again, I'm just enjoying the Steeler way, baby. Shout out to the black and gold. Shout out to with it fat and sassy. That's how I
The
like 'em.
the Steelers Blitz way is to close down the program with tweets. We got a couple on the other side that we got to get to before we get up out of here. We'll do that when we return. Wes Uhler, Arthur Moats. It's the Steelers Blitz.
This is the Steelers Blitz with Wesley Uhler and Arthur Moats on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, SNR.
Final segment of the Blitz. That means it is time to turn it over to the people as the time is yours here as we close down this program for the week. Annie will lead us off. Annie says she's loved the analysis and your kind of experience in the conversation of Aaron Rodgers' power level and what is starting to feel like the decision 2025. Annie says, first question, does this dynamic continue with Aaron Rodgers if he signs, and would that be concerning? Also, for both of you, if you could big time a major career decision, how would you announce it?
Dang, that's actually good. All right. Do I think this continues though if Rodgers shows up? Yes, I don't think it's as heavy-handed, but I think that is also largely based on the overall wins and losses success. I think the more wins we have, the cooler he's going to be about it, the more positive his temperament will come off as versus if they're struggling, we know he's going to receive a lot of criticism just because it's Aaron Rodgers. And the way that he sometimes communicates, it could ruffle some feathers and it could get real, uncomfortable for, a good amount of people. So I do think that that's something that we have to kind of, prepare for. But it's Aaron Rodgers. You know what comes with Aaron Rodgers. And in terms of a big boy company or something, I like the big boy decision like that.
Like
yeah,
LeBron,
man.
like LeBron James on ESPN style.
I would say something dealing with media. Yeah. If I get to that point where it's like, all right, I'm gonna take this show and I'm gonna do it this day now, or I'm gonna retire. I'm not gonna do the show anymore. Like, yeah, something like that. Yeah. I would like that. I would like that. I would do it live on like the 50-yard line of action or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. If
Yeah.
I had that type of like big timing, a major career move or decision or something like that, I think I would be super over the top and bougie about it as well. I think that I would like do something like if I was Aaron Rodgers, I would have descended from the rafters like it was WWE with like a Steelers hat on or a terrible towel or something
Like something
very
just crazy. Yeah.
and just I would like to have thousands, tens of thousands, whatever people in an arena or a building or a show or an event or something, and bang, here's the announcement, and everyone loses their mind.
Yeah.
That would be pretty cool.
And if not that, then probably like 30,000 feet up on a private jet with a steak.
Instagram
and they
Live.
just like looking like a boss.
It's
You know
a
what I
good one,
mean?
too.
Just like,
It's a real good one.
Okay. Like, yeah.
It's a real good one. I like that.
Yep.
I
That'd be
like
that.
Let's see. Tyler tweets us, our buddy Steeler Nation 920. I need to know each of yours best locker room memories.
Oh man, best locker room memories. Man, I'm about to get in trouble for that. But what I will say is one of one of my ones that I just always like to laugh about is my first interaction with Troy, or my first experience with Troy Polamalu on game day in the locker room for the regular season. You obviously see him in the preseason, man. Hair is always up. He's super chill, man. He has his little bob. He's quiet on game days for the preseason because he doesn't play in the preseason. It's Troy. But that regular season hits. And my first year here, man, my locker's only a couple down from his. And, you can see him once again, man, hair up. And everybody had kind of been like letting like, hey, bro, Troy is different. Like when the hair come down, like it's like a whole nother version of him. I'm like, bro, all right, it sounds good, but I've never seen this thing. So watching him, he's walking around all pre-game, super duper quiet. Usually Troy is like jokey, but now he's like real, just like focused, but
Locked in.
quiet. So you see him read the Bible and everything. You're like, all right, dang, hair's still up the whole time. Though you're like, all right. Then you start seeing him getting dressed, start seeing him get ready. Then the daggone hair come down. And man, I just remember the first time I see him on this football field and he goes to tackle somebody. And I'm like, yo, it wasn't even a regular tackle. Like the way my man like flies at this dude, almost like a flying squirrel to go hit him. I'm like, oh yeah, this dude is an absolute psychopath. I'm like, just in here, you're the most quiet, like almost like a monk. Like that's what it felt monk like, the way he walks around, just Bible is like all reserved, super chill, and everybody's like, yo, it's the calm before the storm, the calm before the storm. When I was watching, observing, like, it's no way. Like I've seen Troy on game day, like playing against him. I've seen the videos of him jumping over the people. Like it's Troy Pop. I know he's in there, like, got to be listening to headbang or rocker music, like about to go absolutely nuts, right? But no, the quiet. I'm talking like you can't hear. Like, yo, is Troy here today? Like, where is Troy at? That's the walk around the lock, and that's when be like, yo, wow. And then that hair came down, and literally he's flying around trying to absolutely kill him and everybody that's out there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude's really a psychopath, like a real life psycho. So for me, that'll be the story that will be the story that I will share. So shout out to TP, shout out to the hair. But yeah, if you know, you know.
That's a great
TP
story.
with the hair up and TP with that hair down, them night and day.
I should have went first on this one because there's no way that my lowly locker room stories compare anything. I messed up here. But it's funny. I think I might have told, like, I think again, this is one of those like pre-COVID, like early days of us doing a show together. I do think one time you asked me, like, I need to know your best like sports memory, or something like that. Like my best locker room moment would be after. So it was my 14th birthday. I want to be quick about this because we need to go, and people don't need like, here's my great tale of my youth athleticism.
Oh man, come on, man.
14th birthday, bunch of family at the game. It is the semifinals. We are playing. They're now called Penn's Elite. Okay, they at the time were called the Amateur Penguins, but they rebranded like a decade ago. They're now called Penn's Elite. This was travel hockey, in Western Pennsylvania. And I knew this was going to be my last year because after that, at this time, I was playing for a travel team and for my school and for my high school. And I loved hockey and everything, but like I didn't need to be playing for two teams at once. Like I also wanted to be a kid and just have a life. I didn't need to be playing for two hockey teams all year round. So this was going to be my last year playing travel hockey, and I was just going to play, high school hockey moving forward. It's my 14th birthday, semifinal, Amateur Penguins, big rival. I had never won a championship in travel hockey, and this was like my last chance to get a banner, to get my name on a banner. Semifinals, there's 2 minutes left in the game. We're down a goal. Our team takes a penalty. All right. So we're down a goal. There's less than 2 minutes left. It's like this game is over. Well, it was, baby, until your boy ripped a slap shot from the blue line with like 40 seconds left. We're shorthanded. I score a goal. So I go and celebrate with my family over in the stands, going nuts. We end up winning the game in overtime to go to the championship. And like, I'll never forget, like running back into the locker room after. It was better than we won the championship like a few days later. It was the way that we won, like dramatic, shorthanded, needed a goal at the end. I scored it. And then like my best buddy on the team scored the overtime winner. And so just against our big rival, the Amateur Penguins, who we hated.
It felt real, like, miracle on ice.
It felt real, like Hail Mary at the end of the game. And how did we get out of there with that win type, like. It was. I'll never forget that lock. Like we're standing on the bench, like dancing and bumping music, and yeah, it was awesome.
I love it. And then, like you said, though, you said y'all did finish the deal the next week too, man. Don't forget that detail. We finished the deal.
We finished the deal the next week in overtime again too, in dramatic fashion. But like I said,
heart attack boys, man.
Almost getting to the championship just because I scored the dramatic goal to tie at the end. Because I was a defenseman, I didn't score very often. That was a rare feat. So
Let's go.
that would be my best locker room memory after stealing victory from the jaws of defeat against the amateur Penguins in the semifinals.
And that's why you Wesley man tooth, man. Come on, baby. Everybody know this.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
But no, Troy Polamalu was not there, so my story not nearly as cool. But that will do it for us for today. Thanks for the tweets and the participation, everybody. Power Grid, Megawatts, rocking with us as always. Big shout out to hopefully some new Steelers blitzers here that we've picked up on the YouTube side of things as well too. Welcome to the party to each and every one of yins. And as always, as I get out of here, I have to give a big thank you and a shout out to the best co-host in the business, Arthur Nathan Moats III.
Who, me?
Take care, everybody. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk to you soon. And as always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold.
Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.